What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In today's video I'm going to be seeing how every team's going in round 8. At 17th from the ladder we have Richmond. I didn't think Richmond would be off to this bad of a start this year. They've only won the one game against Sydney, which I still don't know how they won. They had a really bad game against Freo, but the umpires were a bit one-sided, I'll admit, as a Freo fan. But there's a lot of work to do if you're on a Richmond fan point of view. Game against the Dogs win. 16th from the ladder, we have Hawthorn. I think we all expected them to be around this point. They've had a good win over the Dogs last week, which I wasn't expecting, to be honest. But they've got a game against the Saints down at Utah, so I reckon they're a chance with their Cal Shadir and some of their up-and-coming talent. So they're the team to watch this week. Well, they're one of the teams to watch this week. I think this will be a good game. Who knows? In 15th, and to round up at bottom 4, we have the Eagles. I reckon the Eagles have improved massively. We all expected them to be around bottom 4 after their last 2 years, but they've improved massively with the input of Waterman, Reid, and some of their younger talent. Game against Collingwood at Marvel Stadium. I don't think the Pies play at Marvel that much, and they've got a few players out, so the Eagles could be a secret chance. I still think Collingwood win though. In 14th, we have St Kilda, and this is the biggest drop-off from last year. They finished about 6th or 7th last year, now they've slipped to 14th, a third of the way through the season. It's just not clicking for them, I don't think. They've got a game against the Hawks, which I recapped earlier, down in Tasmania. I don't think they'll win convincingly, and that's even if they win. So I've got my eye on the Saints for a fraud watch, but who knows, they might come back later in the year. Now in 13th, we have Brisbane. This is something I definitely didn't expect, considering they made the grand final last year, but I think they've dropped off. They had a good win in the key clash against the Suns, but their accuracy was concerning a bit. And they got hammered the week before by the Giants. So it's concerns with the Lions, but in a game at Adelaide Oval against the Crows, I think the Crows get the job done, but the Lions should lift. And in 12th are the Adelaide Crows. We just talked about these blokes. After their really slow start to the season, they've started to get their mojo together. Couple of wins in a row. Game against Brisbane, I reckon they can win that, because it's home ground advantage and they're just a bit better form. But to be fair, on Brisbane and the Dogs, who we're about to talk about in a couple of seconds, there's not much between Brisbane, who are 13th, and the Dogs are 11th. It's only a percentage, but Crows win. In 11th, we have the Western Bulldogs. They've been the hot and cold team of the league, and I know a few people that might agree with me on that. They've had a couple of tough losses to Freo a couple of weeks ago, and Hawthorn, a shock loss to Hawthorn on the weekend. But they've got the Tigers next week. They've got a good enough talent with Bont, who can stand up when he needs to. So I reckon they'll knock off the Tigers, but they do need to get their season rolling pretty quickly. In 10th, we have the Gold Coast Suns, who started their season pretty well. They smashed Richmond in opening round, and they've been a bit shaky since then, but they're looking good if their midfield. They beat West Coast, which is an improving West Coast, I should say. They're not the training team, but that's beside the point. North Melbourne next week. I won't say it's a training session because they did lose to them in round 24 last year, but they should win easily. And now to round out the teams outside the 8 is Collingwood, who have really got their mojo back on after being 0-3 to start the season. They've had 4 wins in a row plus a draw. I reckon they'd be in the 8 if they hadn't had that draw against Essendon on Anzac Day. Game against West Coast next week. They've got a few players out, so that could be a tough one for them. But I just think they've got the defence, the midfield, and they've got no mind check, I don't think, but should win, surely. First off, to introduce your top 8 teams, in 8th we have Carlton. Carlton started the season very, very well, like they did at the back end of last year. I think they started 5-0, 6-0, but they've dropped, 5-0, but they've dropped a couple of games now. Or maybe 4-0, 5, I think, either one. They've dropped a couple of games now against Geelong and Collingwood late, but I reckon, game against Melbourne, I can see them losing, but they'll put up a fight. In 7th, we have Port Adelaide. They've been a very strong team throughout. They were last year, they're getting into their mojo again this year. They've got a tough game this week, though, against Geelong, in Geelong. I don't see them winning that, but I'd like to see them put up a good fight. I think it could be one of the games of the round. But I reckon Geelong win. But Port, I reckon they'll challenge for finals again. Let's just see how it pans out. In 6th spot is my beloved Fremantle Dockers. We've had a pretty solid season. We've won the first 3, lost the next 3, including the Derby, which I'm still really depressed about. But we won the next 2 pretty solidly against the Dogs and the Tigers on the weekend. On Friday we play Sydney. I'm going to be at that game. Hopefully I don't have to leave at half-time again. But I reckon we can put up a fight with our midfield strength. And let's see. In 5th position, we have Essendon, and I'll be brutally honest, I don't know how they've got here. Yes, they're winning games. They've got a 5-2 ratio and 1 draw, but their percentage is only 95.2, which isn't good. So, we've got a game against the Giants at Marvel Stadium. That can be also a good game, because the Giants lost the Battle of the Bridge, but they should win this one. Let's see. Introducing your top 4 teams, we have the Melbourne Demons. They have been a very good team. They lost opening round by about 4 goals, but since then they've responded. They've won 6 of their last 7. They only lost to Brisbane since then. They've got Carlton tomorrow night. I think they'll get over the top, despite it being their away game. But they've just got the depth in their side, which I don't think Carlton's quite can match yet. But we'll see how it pans out. The third team is the GWS Giants. These guys have been very strong throughout this season. Again, they got off to a good, I think they won their last 5 games. They've lost the last couple, maybe the last 2 over the last 3. But Essendon at Marvel, yeah, like I said, this would be a tough game, but I'm going to pick the Giants. Just because they've got the team, I think Hogan's back, and yeah, Toby Green. Here we have the big boys off the league, Geelong Cats. Wow, they had a 7-0 start. They only just lost to Melbourne, which I should have mentioned earlier when I was talking about them. But they've just been brilliant. I can't say where has this come from, because they make finals almost every year, and it was a bit of a shock seeing them not in it last year. On the weekend, they played Port. I reckon they'll take out their anger on Port and win by 4 goals. And here we are, the top of the table, the Sydney Swans. What a year they've had as well. They won the Battle of the Bridge last week, and they are premiership contenders in my book. Them and Geelong, they are going hammer and tom for it. They've got the Dockers this week. Like I said before, they somehow lost to Richmond though. I'm not really sure how that happened, but hopefully the Dockers can knock them off. But Swans are going good. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed.